Hello there and welcome to this video, which will cover stage 2 of your project in MMDD 232, Emerging Multimedia Practice 1. I hope everyone is doing well. I've been able to connect with some of you in the drop-in session, which happened a couple of weeks ago. That was good to speak with some of you about your projects. I've also had ongoing communication with a lot of students in this class as well through Blackboard messages, so it's been nice to get a sense of where students are at and how their projects are going. But this time, or this stage, we're actually going to meet one-on-one, right? So it'll be great to get a sense of what projects you have proposed and talk it through with you, see how it's looking, and just make sure things are good for moving forward the rest of the semester. Before I get into all the stuff with Blackboard and everything here, I hope everyone's doing well. Like I said, fall weather is starting to trickle in a little bit. It's still fairly warm out there, but I've seen some leaves changing, which is nice. I'm a big NFL fan, so I've been watching lots of football, which has been awesome. I did want to note that I know things are maybe definitely a bit up in the air, I'm sure, with you and your classes, with this ongoing strike, if it's still happening by the time you watch this video. But hopefully, those disruptions with your class don't, cause you to fall off in your project and your work development in this program. So, maintain progress, maintain development. Things will work out, I'm sure, as time goes on. And just, day to day, week to week, keep it going. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into the Blackboard here to cover everything for stage 2 of the course. Here I am in the Blackboard. I know there's quite a bit of information here, all these different sections. So I think that, especially probably by the time this video comes out and you've submitted the first stage of the project, I might move some of these things around just to prioritize what will be the new priorities, right? So for instance, your stage 2 work and things like that. But you'll have a section here for stage 2, which says to get your creative ideas out and develop a creative framework for your project development. Examples of pre-production work include mood boards, sketches, storyboards, scripts, wireframes, etc. And before I get in there, I suppose I will go ahead and open up the critical path just to get a sense of how things are moving on overall. Stage 1, it was the first 3 weeks of the course. It was mostly course onboarding, but you also, completed that course review quiz. You should have connected with your remote teams for the semester and also done your research and planning work proposing your project. And you submitted stage 1, so now you're on to stage 2. And you'll see how it's going to unfold the next 4 weeks. You should be working on your remote work foundations module, which is due week 4. And then you'll have the first submission of your pre-production work in stage 2A due week 5. Then the second submission, stage 2B, in week 7. Now throughout, so weeks 4 and 5, there will be supervisor meetings, which is the one-on-one meetings with me. And then week 6 and 7, you'll actually be meeting with your remote teams for peer feedback. And I'm going to go through how that's all going to look and how you're going to accomplish those things. So stage 2, weeks 4 through 7, basically all the way up until reading week. In overview here, you've now reached stage 2 pre-production of your multimedia project. The goal of this stage is to turn your ideas into a tangible format, laying a solid foundation for the next phase, production, right? So each phase really feeds into the next. So, if you prepared and did a lot of work in the last phase, it will help this stage and then into the next. Purpose of stage 2, this stage is all about brainstorming and organizing your ideas. You will create sketches, mood boards, storyboards, scripts, wireframes, or whatever tools fit your individual project. If you're having trouble of what pre-production work or tasks to do, you could consider asking AI, but you can also ask me. But ChatGPT can help for independent learning, but I don't want you to rely on it too much necessarily. So feel free to reach out to me as well. Key takeaway of this stage is the more detailed and thorough your pre-production work is, the smoother your production stage will be. Instead of jumping directly into design software like Figma or After Effects, use this time to get your ideas onto paper or digital equivalents first. This ensures you're working from a clear, developed creative plan rather than just ideas in your head. The whole point of this stage is so you don't go from here's my idea for my project and then here it is. I'm already opening After Effects. I'm already creating the final assets, right? This course and the whole process of breaking a project down into these stages, while it might seem a bit slow for you, it's meant to create a good progression of how you can build a project. And because we're doing this simulation here, where like I'm kind of your supervisor or client, and you are basically the freelancer or designer, it's very important in those relationships to be working on your project incrementally, to be giving your drafts to the client for feedback. It doesn't make sense in most situations like that for you to just immediately make the thing and say, here you go, I'm done, right? There's a process that happens, and so this course is meant to help you build that kind of process with your project work. So yes, very important that at this stage you don't immediately jump into making the final thing you're working on this semester, but you work on drafts, you work on outlining it, you work on storyboards, wireframes, whatever it is that fits your specific project. Stage 2 breakdown is divided into 2 parts, each lasting 2 weeks. So Stage 2A is weeks 4 through 5, where you will start your pre-production work, meet with me for your first supervisor meeting, and it says finish the remote work foundations module. That's due in week 4. And then Stage 2B, week 6 and 7, you will complete the remainder of your pre-production work and participate in your first peer feedback assignment. Now, as I've noted before, each submission will also request an associated timesheet and an updated project plan, so make sure to track your coursework time and check off tasks on your project plan to complete them. Use this time to explore all your creative ideas, so by the time you reach the production stage, everything is clearly laid out and ready for development, right? So once again, rather than jumping straight into After Effects, you're going to create storyboards and animatics and mood boards and guidelines and stuff like that, so that when it does to get to the production stage, you have a good idea of what you're going to be creating, right? You have an outline, you've already thought through a lot of things, so it should be a smoother process for you. And something to note here, right? Check off tasks in your project plan. I've already noticed with a few students that they haven't done that. Maybe when you download the Word document, you can't actually click those checks, so you can always just use strike through, but some indication of the tasks you have completed so far on your project plan. So, right, you can see there's folders for Stage 2A and Stage 2B. Stage 2A, just to show you what you'll need to submit: a timesheet, right, tracking your time during these weeks, an updated project plan, checking off tasks that you have completed, notes from your meeting with me, and then examples of your pre-production work. So basically, there's a very blank template here. You'll say, Stage 2A project work. Here's the work task, and then here's the evidence of it, right? So it's like if you were doing storyboarding for 2 hours on your timesheet, then here you would say, okay, storyboarding, and then you would include some evidence of that work that you did. So this is just, again, getting you into the routine of tracking the work that you are doing, the time it's taking, and then also tying that to the actual work itself, just like you would send over to a client. You'd say, here's the things I've been working on, here's how long it took me, and here's examples of that work, right? So that they will say, okay, they're actually doing things, so I can keep paying them, or they can say, okay, now I can give them some feedback so they can implement that into their future work. That's all very important stuff. So the supervisor meeting, here it is. Here's the schedule at this link. You'll see there's a link here for the meeting room as well. Right, week 4, week 5. They should say Thursday. I'll make sure those are the correct dates, but I think this is just leftover stuff from last semester. So Thursday, those are the dates. Let me just quickly make sure that those are actually the dates. It should also be in your calendar. And I can also put the link there in the calendar. Yes, 25th and the 2nd. Okay, cool. So here is the meeting schedule. You will see, students are listed basically alphabetically here. You're even sectioned off by your teams, right? So you should be getting to know these students who are in your remote team. And each student's given 10 minutes, right? There's about 25, I think, students in the class, so it'll take place across 2 weeks of time. Each student 10 minutes, and you can see when your time is for the meeting here, and you should show up, of course, before your meeting. I'll talk a bit about that. But here's the meeting room. You can click on it here, or you can access it from here as well. So access your schedule, check the meeting schedule to review when your meeting will take place. Just take a look at this and then, write it down somewhere, put it in your own calendar, just so that you can remember and to show up. Meeting weeks, they take place over 2 weeks. Be sure to note the specific week and time you are scheduled. The format is that each student will have 10 minutes for a one-on-one meeting. Please arrive at least 5 or 10 minutes before your assigned meeting time. You can show up before that as well, but just to make sure you're kind of already ready, because there's going to be kind of a general meeting room for people to be, and then I'll have a breakout room where I'll pull in students one by one. And we really do need to stay on that 10-minute incremental block, just to make sure things proceed at a proper rate and doesn't get delayed and then, bleed into other students' time and stuff like that. So take notes during the meeting for reference as you work on your project. This is good professional practice. You are required to submit meeting notes in your Stage 2A submission. So what I would ask you to do is come up with a couple questions that you think would be important for us to cover in this meeting, and then you can type out, what we end up talking about on your notes. And these don't have to be super formal, but it is good professional practice, like I said, during meetings to be taking notes, right, so that you can remember what's important and make sure you have it kind of in your own language as well. So you'll need to take notes during the meeting and submit them. Attendance and timesheets. Log the time spent on your meeting on your timesheet, and if you are more than 10 minutes late or you miss your meeting without giving a 24-hour notice, you must schedule a makeup meeting. Details below, and use a late waiver. More than 10 minutes late. I guess I have that kind of as a buffer for you. I should probably take that out, but I'll keep it in there since it says that. So yeah, please don't be over 10 minutes late. And if you miss your meeting without 24-hour notice, you must schedule a makeup meeting. And these are the directions for that, which is that there's a link for you to book time with me. I haven't made that time available yet because I need to see how many students need to do makeup meetings. And then you must submit a late waiver in your next submission, because you would have missed your meeting time. So this is unfortunately a spot where a lot of students slip up. A lot of students have received unsats because they simply aren't able to manage their time to make their meetings on time. I've had students who miss the meeting, then I say book a makeup meeting, then they don't make that meeting, I say book it again, and it just ends up devolving into them not passing the class, right? So be respectful of both of our times here, right? It's meant to be important and good meeting for us to connect and talk about your project. So show up on time and use that time well. You don't want to have to drag it out into some complicated thing of finding out another time to meet. So there's the guidelines there. And then you'll submit, right, timesheet, plan, notes, and your work. And here's some work items for your invoice: pre-production work, specify your tasks, supervisor meeting that you took with me. You can also put remote work foundations here if you're still completing it. Just anything you're spending time on for this class. Stage 2B, just to look at what you'll submit here: timesheet, plan, same as the other, examples of work, same as the other, and then you'll submit notes from your peer feedback session. So for that, there's guidelines. You are required to meet with your assigned remote team during weeks 6 and 7 of your project, Stage 2B, to discuss and share your project work. So you have to schedule a meeting with your group, right? So coordinate with your remote team members to set a meeting time and platform, online or in person. Since all team members have the same course schedule, consider scheduling the meeting during the allotted course time for convenience, right? Thursday, 10 to 12:30, I think. You should all be free at that time, so you could propose that as a time to meet. And it might seem difficult to have to actually, coordinate with everyone, finding a time to meet, when are people available, what platform are we going to use, but that's a huge skill that you'll need to use in the future as well, right? Coordinating your schedule with people, right? Finding how you're going to meet, like setting that time, making sure you show up. So this is yet another sort of simulation activity meant to help you develop these skills, because it will be very important for you to be able to do this. I'm having to book and find meetings with people all the time. Prepare for peer feedback. So use this form to structure your discussion and feedback, so the way that it's going to work. And you'll put information like your name, team, and your peers' names and when you met. First, share your project work with your team and get them up to speed. Say, here's my project, here's what I'm working on. Communicate your project goals with your team and what you hope to get out of this project, with examples of your work showing how far along you are in the process. So you'll kind of present your work to the group, and then you'll gather feedback. You'll ask questions. You'll say, okay, what aspects of my project did you find most effective or impressive? What could be improved or refined? How well does it meet the objectives and goals of my project? And any additional suggestions or feedback. Then you'll need to include proof that you actually met. So include a picture, either a selfie if you meet in person, or a screenshot if you meet online, showing you and your peers met, right? That's very important because it actually proves that you met with one another, and then export this as a PDF to submit. And there's a few things of note here, right? The point isn't that you just send this form to someone and say, give me feedback, and they fill it out, right? The point is that you are meeting with people, receiving feedback in real time, and taking note of that feedback, okay? I had a student in a previous semester who unfortunately revealed he was just like, oh yeah, with the peer feedback, I've already sent the form to get the feedback, but we haven't met to take the picture yet, right? So that's just not at all how this is intended to go. You don't just meet only to get the picture, you meet to give the feedback, okay? So it will be way more valuable if you actually do that rather than just trying to get something put together to submit. Document your meeting, right? So like I said there, if it's online, capture a screenshot. If it's in person, take a selfie and attach the photo into the form here. And each team member must submit their own peer feedback form as a part of their submission. And record the meeting details. Oh, it says, yeah, sorry. Record the meeting details on your timesheet, including the duration, right? So you can say, okay, remote team meeting, 30 minutes, an hour, however long it takes. That's a part, again, of your coursework time. Tip, use these peer feedback sessions as a chance to strengthen professional relationships with your colleagues. And once again, if you fail to meet with your team, you'll still need to gather feedback from them at a later time and use a late waiver, right? So once again, make the meeting on time, coordinate with your peers, be communicative. You know, I hear from students as well that one member of the group just won't say anything and then they don't show up and all that kind of stuff. Again, that's a path towards failure, unfortunately. So communicate with your team, connect with each other. That was a part of why you had to introduce yourself to your teams in the last stage, and find a way to connect, whether that's WhatsApp or Discord or whatever. So you should hopefully be already in touch with them, and so you can schedule a meeting to get feedback during weeks 6 and 7. So this lays out the next 4 weeks of the course, right? So again, very self-directed. You're going to be doing a lot of project work. You're going to be getting feedback and meeting with me as well as with your peers. So it's meant to be a great opportunity for you to start getting your ideas out, get some other perspectives on your ideas, and start laying a really strong foundation for when you move into the production stage. Oh, also, I'll go ahead and also, I think, make available the professional development activity. This is due at a much later time in the course, right? It even says here December 1st. But you can get information about this assignment here. There's a video there. It's from a previous semester, so if there's something in the information, like a due date or something that doesn't align, just keep that in mind. Maybe I'll update the video, I'm not sure. But it goes through what you'll need to do, go to an event, take notes, and reflect on it. There's going to be some events happening as well, I think, at Humber, again, depending on whether the strike influences or not. So I might send out some announcements about that too, and, listen to what your other professors say too if they mention something's happening, if you get any emails, announcements, anything like that. So keep an eye out for that as you're working on everything else, but you don't have to super stress about it quite yet. For now, really getting started on the pre-production phase is what's most important. Pre-production stage. I keep using phase and stage interchangeably. In the meantime, of course, reach out to me with any questions on Blackboard. Keep an eye on announcements as they come out, and enjoy the process. Right? I could become full screen here. Enjoy the process. Right? Pre-production is a great time to experiment, try different ideas, and it really helps to get those ideas worked through now before you spend so much time making final assets that are much harder to edit and manipulate and change once they're complete. So now is the time to figure that out, set the sort of thing you're going to do, and then you'll work on it, right? So excellent. One other random thing is that because stage 2B ends right before reading week, it'll be due that final Friday, I believe, rather than it bleeding into after reading week, because I don't encourage you to spend that time working on this project. So if that changes, or if I have any other thoughts there, I'll send out another announcement about that. So just keep an eye out. Excellent. So yes, good luck as you enter the pre-production stage.